fix it and end up having a dog barking or something. Hey everyone, my name is Nachum Russell, or Russ to most of you because nobody can say Russ. And this is my friend John from Gotta Train in Phoenix, Arizona. For those of you, it's your first time tuning into this show, the way that this works is it's not a Q&A show. It's a weekly show that I do every week. We interview different people, usually dog trainers, although I have some surprises coming up in the future. And we're just getting to know each other, chatting about training, chatting about life, really whatever comes up. You guys are more than welcome to join the conversation in the comments section, and we'll be more than happy to have you guys be part of the conversation. But it is not a Q&A show, so if you have Q&A dog training questions, you can always hit me up privately. I'm sure you can hit John up privately too, and we'll get right into it. John, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do and all of that before we start chatting so people can get to know you?
Yeah, my name's John. I'm a dog trainer out in Phoenix, Arizona. I am the volunteer head trainer at the Luv Pup Foundation. And yeah, my life is literally dogs.
This about sums it up real quick. And
Yeah.
How did you get into doing dog training?
Well, my uncle and my mother were both dog trainers and horse trainers. And when we were kids, I was a bit of a troublemaker, and my mom made me volunteer at the ASPCA in San Leandro, California. And we attended every weekend training courses, and we did all the tricks with our dogs, and it just was a passion from the very beginning.
So kids, if you make trouble, you might end up as a dog trainer.
Yeah, hey.
Cool.
Both, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So you grew up with this though, like this has kind of always been a part of your life. You never
Yes.
had this is just who you are.
Yes.
And were you also working with horses?
No, I've never, I've only seen a horse maybe once or twice in my life.
Gotcha.
Not really.
That was just
I
the
have some
family
horse
did
training
that.
books, though.
That's cool. And you say you're the head trainer at which organization was that?
It's called the Luv Pup Foundation.
Gotcha. And what do you do? What do you do for them?
Oh, when we have troubled dogs, I'll take them into my house. I'll work with them. I'll go over to Blake and John Jay's house and help them with difficult dogs. When dogs are adopted, as long as they contact me within the first 2 weeks, the first session's free. I just want to get them started off on the right foot. I help wherever I can. There's a couple other rescues I work with, like Paw Promise and Incredible Stella. But yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you're able to connect with a good rescue that allows you to actually train dogs. Unfortunately, not too many of them do. So that's awesome that you get that.
Yes.
And so I first found out about you through TikTok, which I don't really hang out on TikTok anymore. So it's a good thing I found you before I left that app. But I first found you on TikTok where you blew up, and what drew me to your content over, because there was a ton of dog trainers trying to make it on TikTok. And what attracted me to your page was your blend of dog training and educational with a bit of entertainment in there too. That was very cool.
Yeah.
And I think that was like kind of missing from a lot of other dog trainers on TikTok, is you kind of picked up on that TikTok vibe, I guess. What?
It's the process, right?
Yeah.
We always see the before and the after. We never see the in between or the struggles, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's helpful. And I remember when I was starting off, it was so hard to find good information, right? You would contact other trainers, and no one would give you the little push you needed.
Yeah.
But I find that knowledge is power, and the more that people know, the better off dogs are going to be. They're not going to end up in rescues if they can just make some little changes at home.
Absolutely. Rebecca, John's TikTok account is Gotta Train.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to follow him there, and you guys all should, because it's a fun account to follow. For as long as TikTok lasts, you guys can follow him there. But so you've been training for basically all your life, right? This is what you know, and what I found interesting though about your TikTok page, we're going to stay on that for a second, was not only did you show the process, you figured out a way of actually doing that in a short, catchy way that actually drew people to it, which is very cool. You figured out the key to it. So when you went to TikTok, was your plan to blow up, or were you just there and see what happened?
Oh, bro, I didn't even believe in social media. My whole life, I thought I didn't get it. right?
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to me. And then I had a friend, Lindsay, who said, "Dude, John, you have to get on social media. It's the only way your business is going to get big, you know." And literally 6 months later, it's crazy. It's
Yeah, it's awesome how that goes.
yeah.
I think social media nowadays is imperative. Like
Oh,
if you don't use it, you lost already. That's the way I look at it.
it's been the best thing for business, for real.
Yeah.
It's crazy how good it is for business.
Yep, it lets people know who you are before you ever meet them, and it builds, like, to me, the most important thing, especially in our industry, right? We're training dogs, which are essentially family members, people's family members, right? As much as we say, like, oh, it's not your family, it's your family,
It is your family.
and yeah, and you people are trusting you to work with their family member and to train them and to teach them how to live a better life with their family member. It's all about trust, right? If a client doesn't trust you, no matter what you tell them, it's not going to work. At the end
Oh,
of
yeah.
the day, it's worthless. It's not going to be successful. And social media helps to build a lot of that trust prior to them ever meeting you.
Yep.
So you don't have to convince them that you're a good person when they meet you. They already know you, you
Yeah.
know?
Yep.
So I think it's an important factor. So what is, I'm this little off from dog training, but still is, what does your daily day look like? Because I know you wake up super early.
Okay, so I wake up at 4 a.m.
Oh, and one more thing, and you don't do board and trains. Right.
There's certain cases that I will do it. Like, for instance, Incredible Stella asked me to help with one, so I help them. If someone's a doctor and they're just not there they're just
Right.
don't have the time for it, yes, I will help them. If the dog's deaf, yes, I'll do a board and train. If it's severe aggression, yes, I will get that little relationship reset going for them. But in general, I like to go into people's homes. I find that getting them to change is the first step to getting
Absolutely.
things going. But my day to day, so I wake up at 4 a.m. and I start off by reading, whether that's a dog training book or a fictional book. I have to start my day with 30 minutes of reading. I make breakfast. I feed my dogs. We do a little quick 5-minute training sessions before I leave for the day, get ready, all that stuff. And then I start my appointments, and then it's anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 a day. And then I get home, hang out with my dogs, and go to bed at 8 p.m.
It must be like, what is it, 100-something degrees out there. Are you only training dogs in houses now because of that?
Okay, so my first session usually starts in between 6 and 6:30, and those are our walking sessions, because after 8:30, it's just too late.
Right.
It's going to get too hot way too fast. So after that, it's usually in-home problems. So maybe I'll deal with separation anxiety. Maybe it's just a relationship issue. Maybe it's just teaching a dog to spot stay or play stay. But it's...
Oops, did we lose John? Oh, did we lose you?
over and over.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So what was the last part you heard?
You teach dogs spot stay? Okay, I have a quick question. Why do you call it spot?
I just like, I could care less if it was called Kiwi, man. As long
Yeah.
as you call it Kiwi every
No,
time.
I like it. I've never heard anyone call it spot before, but then I see you call it spot, place, you mixed it up.
It also works for like Sunday spot stay. # Sunday spot stay.
Okay, so it works well for that.
# Saturday spot stay,
Yeah.
But really, I could care less if you called it Kiwi, apricot. Just stick with whatever it is that you like.
So when you're doing one-on-ones, we were kind of chatting about this before we went live a little bit, but catch everybody else up who wasn't in that. I used to do one-on-ones. The majority of my training was one-on-ones when I first started my own business. And then I transitioned to not doing one-on-ones at all anymore, except like the rare case when they're like a puppy or something. And then during the whole Corona thing, I did a couple of one-on-ones. But in general, I just do board and trains right now. So I've kind of been on both sides. Now, when you do one-on-ones, what are you focusing on the most? And what I mean by that is I've spoken to a couple of trainers recently, and they were struggling with the idea of, and I've heard this from other trainers, when you do a one-on-one, you have to break down the time generally into teaching the dog, teaching the owner, giving them that homework, if you want to call it that. And I think that's where the whole juggling act and the struggle of one-on-ones can get very tough, because when it comes to a board and train, it's kind of like I can train a dog for 2 hours. I could train a dog for 10 minutes, right, on a daily basis, and I can get the same results by the time that 3 weeks is over to then teach the owners what to do.
Yeah.
When it comes to you, where you're in the owner's house for an hour, hour and a half, whatever it is, your time constraint is really, it's a lot more, and you have to. So, like, how do you work that out? What does that look like, and how do you prioritize it all?
So my initial assessment and training is usually 2 hours because it's a big patience game. I like to drive in people's heads. It's about getting control of this, right? Changing the mindset. If we can change the mindset, the body's easy to get to what we want, right? Teaching sit's easy, as you know. Laying down is easy, but how you live with your dog can be difficult. Following through. Part of it is the reason it takes so long the first day is because working on play stay, showing them how, having the owner do it themselves. It may take 20 minutes of that dog constantly breaking and them following through over and over and over. But it's teaching them a valuable lesson on patience, right? And I find that if they can get through that first day and get that dog to play stay for 20 minutes without breaking, that they're ready for the next step, whether it's on their own or with me, right? But I find that the whole play stay, spot stay thing helps with everything, right?
Yeah.
It's a way of getting control. Your dog's overexcited, put it in play stay for a little while, right? If you're about to go on a walk and you're having trouble, put it in play stay for 20, 30 minutes. Get that mindset calm, then walk, right? But I feel like starting off with play stay and come over and over and over. Same thing you probably do with the e-collar work, right?
Yep.
Play stay, come, play stay, come, play stay, come. And then we work off of that, right? So whether it's a walking appointment, whether it's a separation anxiety, play stay helps, right? I feel like if we can get that in order, everything else kind of goes smoothly.
Yeah.
Now it's not that
definitely a powerful one.
What was that?
Place is a total game changer. It's a very powerful one. And I look at it as like less of, I mean, there's a practical side to it. Like I have 7 dogs hanging out with me while we chat, right? Very practical. It's nice and easy. They're all in place. They're not bothering me and disturbing me. But like the even stronger and better side of what place really does is, like you said, the mindset, right? It forces a dog to relax. It gives them no other option but to chill and do nothing. And that's where the magic really happens. So
I got something for that, right?
Yeah.
So my sister Laura, who's a lovely person, right? A lovely mom, has 2 Labradors, and she's always complaining about how lucky I got with my dogs. You know, she's like, how is it that your dogs are so calm and mine are so energetic? I have 2 Catahoulas, mind you.
Yeah.
They're no joke. And I always tell her, it has nothing to do with luck and everything to do with putting the time in and play stay, right? It's changing the mindset, teaching them that off switch in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a shirt that says, do you know Julie from Julie's Canine Academy? She was on the show a while back, Julie's Canine Academy.
I'm going to have to check her out.
So she made a shirt that says, it's not luck, it's training. And it's so true. Like the amount of people, I was on the boardwalk the other day. I started taking pack walks on the boardwalk. I live like 10 minutes from the beach. So I try to go in the mornings, a nice pack walk with whichever dogs that can walk in a group walk together. And every single time when I'm out there consistently, I get compliments on, oh, you have such great dogs. They're so well behaved. They look so calm. They're so like, it's not about any of that. Like these dogs are all psychos, really. Like they all are high energy. It's the work, like you said, it's the work we put in. It's the way we live. And you mentioned teaching owners a way of living with their dog. So what does that look like to you? Because I think every trainer has similar ideas, but different way of looking at that. What does that look like to you?
Okay, so the first thing is, I mean, as I don't want to give away your trade secrets or anything. Or
give it all away.
Okay.
I don't have secrets.
You know, I like having owners hand feed. I like just every relationship to start off with a reset, right? So whether that is because of aggression or this or that, I like them resetting. And that means taking away all the dog's choices, in my opinion, right? Now, that is the choice to eat when he wants. It's no longer sitting on the ground. They're hand each individual teeth or piece. And whether it's them working for each piece, or just as simple as getting eye contact, holding the treat out just like that, and waiting for that eye contact. I like them to be in control of the water, not that they have to cup the water in their hand, but hold the bowl or put it down and give them permission to drink. Not giving the dog the freedom to sleep by the sliding glass door, right? It sleeps where you tell it to sleep.
Yep.
It's, playtime, not in the living room, right? Do playtime in a room that you don't go into. Make that an exciting room, but not your living room where you're sitting there to relax. Making the backyard where you play fetch, where that's exciting. Giving them the freedom in the backyard. Maybe you put them on leash on where to go potty, but that they get an hour in the morning of just to smell around and be a dog. About how you leave the room, about how you leave the front door with your dog. It's all in control. If you're in control, you're not giving the dog the opportunity to make the mistake, right?
Yep.
And it's the longer we can hold off with the mistakes, then the better it's going to be when that incident happens, and then you can boom, nip it in the butt right away, right? But I think it all starts with getting control of that mind. And if you're in control of water, you're in control of food, where it sleeps, where it's hanging out with your family, how you interact with your dog. And the hardest thing for people is the affection thing, man. It is. It's brutal. And as you know, probably 99% of the issues you're seeing, it's all has something to do with affection.
Right? Yeah. I look at it as like, if you pay somebody to do a job they haven't done, like, of course they're not going to care to do the job properly, and it's the difference between getting paid for a job and getting paid like a salary kind of thing, right? And dogs don't work well when they get paid a salary up front. It doesn't work. And affection, the cool thing about what you're saying, and that I like a lot, that I appreciate a lot, because I think it's so important to talk about, is everything that you listed that you're controlling, like the food, the water, the playtime, the freedom, the space. These are all like resources, right? So if you ask the average owner, like what's important to your dog, they're going to probably be like his toys or his food, right? But you listed at least 6 or 7 things that the average owner is not going to think of. And those are generally the things that are even more important. So like the food and water one, it's awesome. It's the obvious one. But space, right? Space is like such an important thing when it comes to an animal. Freedom, affection. Everybody gives the dog too much affection.
Even including us, man. Including us dog trainers.
Absolutely. Like, I'll be the first to admit that I should probably cut down on some of the affection I give at least to one of my dogs.
Me too. Mine's a bummer.
Yeah, but it's at the end of the day, we're still human. But I think that the difference is between you and I and the average dog trainer is we're conscious of it, right? Yes. And like you said, it all starts in the owner's head. If you're at least conscious of it, like I know that, okay, today is not a day where Marley should be getting any extra affection because he's being an ass, right? I don't mean specifically today. He's being good today. But like, if there's that day where he's just being his old self that I don't want to see that side of him, I shouldn't be giving him that extra affection, right? Just like I shouldn't be giving him treats when he jumps on a table or something like that, right? My dog doesn't jump on tables, guys. I'm just using an example. But affection is a treat, but space is a reward, and these are all things that are possible to be used as rewards. And essentially, we're rewarding the dog before they've done anything to earn that reward. I think that's powerful stuff. Heather said, "People give maximum rewards for minimum behaviors." Yeah. The way you put that, 100%. It's the most crucial thing. I think that if dogs lived the life that you just described, they wouldn't need training. Because
I'm going to be honest with you, man. Like for me right now, 1-2, I had her first. Yeah, she knows how to up against.
Guys, his dog's name is 1-2.
Yeah. So I have 1-2, Bummer, Handsome Bob, Rebel, who I'm changing his name to Biff, and then I have a cat named Mumbles. But yeah. So the names 1-2, Handsome Bob, Mumbles comes from my favorite movie, Rock and Rolla. Right, it's a good one, right? It's a British movie with Gerard Butler and Tom Hardy and Idris Elba.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, the rock star's name's Johnny, like me,
Okay, so it all works out.
And then Bummer and Biff come from my favorite author, Christopher Moore. The guy's hilarious, right? Just characters in his books. But what were we talking about just before that?
That 1-2. We were talking about if dogs had all these things, they wouldn't need training, and you were gonna say something about 1-2.
So 1-2, I had her first, and when you have one dog, it is easy to put in the work, and they know everything, right? So she can turn on a light switch, she can attack, she can guard, she can do all kinds of stuff, right? But I had the time, and as you get.
Who were you cutting out? I think there's not a good connection in Phoenix, guys.
No, it's. Can you see me?
I can't see you. We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Jesus. Here, I'm gonna leave and come back.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain everyone for a second. So let's see who's in the comments. Mumbles, Angela, love that dogs don't do well when given Sally up front. Yeah, that's the way I've been describing it recently, and it really hits home for a lot of people because if you want to explain something to humans, talk about money, right? All humans love money, and like getting paid. We all can relate to that one. And I think he's back.
Can you see me?
Yes, now we could see you. Cool.
Sorry, dude. My dad, whenever I don't answer the phone, he calls like 60 times. And every single time he calls, I'm like trying to cancel it. He just keeps on calling.
That's what dads are supposed to do, bro.
I know it's out of love. So yeah, she knows everything, right? But Bummer, who people would probably say is the best behaved dogs, all he knows is go to crate, go to bed, and heel. That's it, right? And he lives a happy-go-lucky life. He's easy. If I tell him to go away, he knows how to go away. But you hit it right on the nose. I've never had to really show him sit down. It's just go to your bed. I don't care if you're standing or laying down. Just go to your bed.
Yep, I totally relate to that. So I have 3 dogs. I have Marley, my wild child psycho, Hendrix, who's my golden, and then I have Mama Bear, who's my pit. Mama Bear is not trained, like, at all. I mean, she walks beautifully on a leash.
Yep.
If I tell her to go to a place, she'll go.
Yep.
But like she's laying next to me while the rest of them are in place. And it's not because she, like, when I say she's not trained, just to clarify for anyone who's like thinking, oh, dog trainer's dog is not trained. What I mean by that is I never did serious formal training with her. Like she's not off-leash reliable the same way as the other dogs are and things like that. But she's a very well-behaved dog. She's the best behaved dog actually of my 3 dogs. But when I brought her into my house and the very first thing that we did, she was coming from living on the streets. And the first thing that I did was put her in a crate, right? And didn't give her affection. And I didn't give her love and mush on her, which the average person would do when you pick a dog up off the street. And I just treated her like a dog. And that's really how we worked through her fear issues. I mean, if you want the whole story, she was like the most shut down dog I ever worked with in my life. And she hated the whole world and everything about it. And like, if you were to walk into, sorry?
What did you do? What was your daily life with her for the first?
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to get to, because I just want to like preface it for a second so everyone can understand the extreme. Because people think of a shutdown dog, they think of a dog that's laying on place, relaxed. So Mama Bear was a shutdown dog and so fear. Like if you were to walk in the room, specifically men, but anyone, she would run into the closest corner of the room, stick her head into the corner, and tremble in fear. And that was her daily reaction. There was nothing else she would do. The only person that she allowed to touch her or go near her was me and my friend, who were the ones who picked her up off the street. So what I did with her, my daily life, was she slept in the crate every single night. Never, now she doesn't, but at that point she slept in the crate every single night for the first year and a half that I had her. She ate her food in her crate. The very first thing that she learned was not to charge out of the crate when I opened the crate door. The next thing that she learned when I took her home was, even though you are starving and you haven't eaten in a long time, like you are a messed up dog, you're going to wait till I give you permission to eat that food.
Self-control.
What?
Self-control.
Yep. And the very first thing I taught a dog, and remember, she was a dog that needed that food, and I wasn't depriving her of it, but I was just telling her from now on that food comes from me, right? And what the daily life looked like with her. She would go for a walk in the morning. So she would go potty in the backyard. We'd go for a short walk in the morning. I demanded that she walk nicely next to me on the walk, even though she was afraid of the whole world. I made sure like she would walk with her tail tucked between her legs and scared. But I demanded that she walk slightly behind me nicely. I never taught her the heel word. I just taught her to walk nicely. She'd come back in the house. She'd have a little time in the house on a leash, not running around, not being free, because that only got her more afraid of the world. She'd go to place, which I didn't formally teach her until a long time after I had her, but I would put her onto the bed and let her stay there. So it just became a way of life where we come in the house and she goes and lays down. And then she'd go back into her crate for the rest of the day until come back out and do that again for the evening routine. And that was her life for the first long time of when she came home. And that structure, that controlling every part of her life was what got her through the fear. And it sounds total opposite of what people think and what people are told. But had I not done all that to her, and had I given her a crap load of affection and love and like mushed her and told her everything's going to be okay, and from here on in your life is going to be good and all that stuff, like she'd still be like that. She'd probably be worse. That's the honest truth. And very quickly she opened up. She's the sweetest thing in the world now. I mean, she loves, I've never seen a person that she doesn't love, right? And I mean, and my other dogs are, one of them is kind of antisocial and hates people. And the one who had these fears, who's like, loves the world. My point of it all is that it wasn't training that did any of that. It wasn't teaching her anything formal. It was really just the way we lived. And I think it's a prime example of that.
Yeah. I have a similar story with Rebel, right? Same situation, man. And I did pretty much the same exact thing. It was, my only expectation was you're in your play stay or you're in your crate. And that was it. And we went on our walks, same deal. And Rebel, was snapping at people. Now he's the dog that I introduce to any dog first at my house, right? It's these troubled ones that end up being the most helpful to you, right?
Yeah, it's interesting how that goes. And
I got a question for you, right? And I always ask people this: do you have an example of a dog that was really difficult or easy, but that taught you a valuable lesson for dog training?
Yes. You asked me this question once when I was live on Instagram.
Yeah. It's my favorite question to ask other trainers.
Yeah. I think that was like the first time we chatted, actually. And you popped onto my Instagram and you like threw this bomb question at me. And I was like, I'm just here to drink coffee with my Instagram live. I do. I have two. But one is more recent, so it's kind of more on my mind. They're both similar situations. The story, like the message that I got from it, is both very similar. And I'll tell you the truth, it's less about the dog and kind of more about owners. But I guess it's all connected in this discussion, right? Does that count? Yeah. It's more about the owners? Okay. So
it's usually the owners, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I'll tell you the first one. This was a dog named Harley, and Harley's owners, if you guys are watching, I love you. You guys are awesome, and I'm proud to have worked with you. But Harley was, I forgot how old she was when I met her. She was like, I don't know, maybe like a Whippet mix or something like that. Some skinny mutt, beautiful little dog, but I don't know what she was. And she was high energy, anxious, all sorts of craziness, all this mindset stuff, right? And her owners had big goals for her. They wanted her to be off-leash reliable. They wanted her to be able to relax in the house and stop being reactive and stop like making life miserable and to actually be able to enjoy this beautiful dog that had a really sweet side to her when she wasn't being that crazy self. So I had her for a board and train. My program is generally 3 weeks, and she stayed with me for 3 weeks. She did fantastic. We had her fully off-leash. We had her completely like eliminated the reactivity and everything. We reached all the goals with me. But the relationship that dogs have with their owners is extremely powerful. So I generally do my go-home sessions at the end of the program in the owner's home because I like to work the dog and the owner through all the issues that will come up in that environment, because environment is very strong and relationship is very strong. So every single time there's a go-home session, there's going to be things that come up, and we get to problem solve together, and I get to teach them how to work through those issues, right? So we walked into the house, and as soon as I walked into the house, I saw this dog's mind switch. Like, it just changed, which is common. It happens, and I have a system to work through it. So what we usually do is I put the dog right into place. I have the owners have a place bed set up for the dog in the living room or wherever we're going to sit down and talk, and we put the dog right into place, and we work through immediately teaching the owners how to have the dog relax through the anxiety and the stress and the excitement that comes up of being back home. This dog was different though. She wasn't having it no matter what we did, right? And I have a lot of tricks for this. Like this is what I do, right? So we tried e-collar correction.
You're a troubleshooter.
Yes, exactly. And we tried everything, and I was like started to really get very nervous. And I'm usually pretty confident in what I do. But in my head I started to like doubt myself, like I don't know if this is gonna work, right? So then I was like, all right, let's switch this up. We're going to get up. We're going to start to work the dog. So my hope was that hopefully if we start to create a flow of her listening to her owners and working through things and them working back and forth with each other, communicating with each other, that she'll actually settle down a little bit through that work and start to respect her owners and respect that space, which also works a lot of times, right? Didn't work at all. This dog was jumping on the furniture and running under the table. And every time we tell her place, she'd run past it and hide under the table in her general hiding spot. And we tried corrections. We tried loose guidance. Like, it just wasn't working, right? So I was like, all right, guys, let's pack it up. We're going to go for a walk, right? Let's get out of the house. We're going to go for a walk. So we went for a walk. The walk went really well. And I decided while we were on the walk that we're just going to work through this walk and get the walk really down pat, go back inside, do some very minimal work, and then I'm going to give them the homework of what they're going to do, right, and set them up with a plan. And in my mind, and I even said to them, like, I'll come back if you guys need, because I felt like I had screwed up, right? So what?
It's, us dog trainers, we have unreal expectations of ourselves and those around us.
Yes, we could talk about that. We could talk about that for days. So, and this is part of what I was learning from this experience, right? And so we brought the dog back home, and I set them up, and I gave them very basic things to do, like what we just described. Keep your dog on place whenever she's out of the crate. Crate her whenever you're not with her. Go for very, very structured walks. Don't try any off-leash time. Like, don't get to the big stuff. 2 days later, I think at the most it was 2 days, maybe even less. I got pictures and videos of this dog running around off leash on the beach with her owners, walking in a beautiful heel, following directions, doing everything. And it wasn't me that made that happen. Now, for everyone who's going to say, well, yeah, you did all this 3 weeks work, all that 3 weeks work could have been out the window. What changed it was these owners wanted it so badly that they put in a ton of work over that 48 hours that dog was home. And that's what really changed the dog. Because, and with the lesson, because you're asking me like what the lesson was that I learned. Two things. Number one is how powerful the relationship between a dog and owner really is. And I always knew this, and I saw it in different ways, but this one was so clear. And the second thing was also how powerful a committed owner can be to really changing a dog. Because when I left there, like, I'll be honest, when I left there, I thought, okay, this dog is going to do very basic stuff. Like, that's what its life is going to look like. Because not all owners are ready to really change and really put in work. But this dog, I get updates from them every so often, and they live like 2 blocks from the beach, and she lives her life off leash on the beach. She meets up with other clients of mine who live in that area, and their dogs run together off leash. And they're living a life that honestly I didn't think that they were going to get with their dog. And it's solely because of what they did. And I think it's powerful. Like, it reassured me that there are great owners out there who are going to really do the work and accomplish a lot. But more than that is it really reminded me of how powerful that relationship stuff really is.
Yeah, it is. It's extremely powerful, man. It's, one of the reasons I don't do board and train as often is I had a terrible experience at the beginning with a dog that just, I'm not going to say any names or anything, but the dog also reactive, snapping at the owners, and they the dog, they stopped using the crate, they stopped doing play stay, and the dog ended up snapping at him a week later. And then it's so hard. You
Yeah.
have there's good and okay clients.
Yeah, it's tough. Like at the end of the day, and I know like a lot of the people that watch this are trainers. At the end of the day, we can't we can't do more than we can do, right? And the thing is that like most dog trainers and dog lovers or whatever, rescuers, whatever you want to call yourselves, dog people, want to save every single dog. And at the end of the day, the only ones who can really, when it comes to training, who can really save their dogs is the owners.
Yeah,
And
the follow through, man, it's so important.
yeah, and it's a responsibility thing that owners have to really take into account when they're.
Yeah,
And
it's not a teddy bear.
right. I just had this conversation today with a client. Your dog, even though it's fluffy and really, really cute, a really cute one, is a predator, right? Those big, sharp, scary-looking teeth are there for a reason. They're meant to grab a rabbit, shred it, and eat it, like while it's alive. That's what your fluffy dog is supposed to do, right? And if your hand gets in the way of a bite like that, it's going to do it to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Do you feed raw or do you feed kibble?
I'm all raw for my personal dog.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's a process. Was it a learning process, or did you struggle at the beginning when you switched over?
I started off using a pre-made one.
Okay. Yeah.
I used to work at a facility where we carried it and sold it, so I got it from there, and it was just a lot easier. I was also working crazy hours and all of that, so it just made life so much easier. My dogs were with me all day at work, so I would just have it there and feed them while we were at work most of the time.
What made you switch from kibble to raw, or were you always?
Yeah. No, I wasn't always a kibble person. I mean, always a raw person at all. When I got my first dog, Marley, like I didn't know anything about dogs. I didn't grow up with dogs. Like the closest thing I had to dogs was my neighbor had dogs, and as a kid, I would go in their backyard and play with them or take them for walks because I wanted a dog. But Marley was my first dog, so I made every mistake possible. So I started off feeding him shitty kibble, no rules, all of that. That's why he's such a crazy dog. Besides the fact that he just has a crazy mind in general. But what made me switch was with Marley specifically, I struggled a lot because he had a like sensitive stomach. And once I learned that it was like his diet that was affecting his stomach, it wasn't obvious to me. I had to learn that. But once I learned that, I started trying out a lot of different kibble brands. And eventually I did find the kibble that was fairly good. Like it was a lot better than the other ones I was using, but we still struggled. Like I didn't like having to deal with a dog that had a horrible stomach, waking up and cleaning a crate every week or two, and I didn't want him having my medication either. So I started to do more research. And then I was also just learning a lot about dogs in general then because I was getting into training and I was working at a facility. So I was surrounded by dogs. My life became dogs. And somebody had mentioned to me or something the idea of feeding raw. And it just logically made sense. As soon as it was mentioned to me, it's like, I was like, why wouldn't I do that? Like, if he was living in a forest somewhere, he wasn't going to go to Petco and pick up the one with the fanciest picture on it, right? So it just logically made sense, and it changed his whole life. Like he doesn't get sick anymore at all. And Mama Bear, the one who was my pit, she had like horrible skin conditions when I found her, and for a while afterward. Raw food, it all went away. Her patches where she had scars on her head and on her elbows from whatever her life was before I knew her, that fur is growing back. It's a process, but that fur is growing back. And I credit it all to the raw food that they're on. She doesn't smell anymore. She stinks. Like I could bathe her every single day, she would still stink. Like raw food. I think it's the way to go.
Yeah.
Were you always a raw feeder?
No, I had a terrible experience with 1-2 here. Hey, 1-2. Who you can see right here. Right, that's 1-2. But she would at like 6 months old, all of a sudden she would break out in hives all over her body. I mean, in the like scary, right? Like you don't know what to do. Like you have to go to the emergency vet every so often, and I'm getting mauled right now. But anyway, I would take her into the vet, and they'd give her a shot, and they would put me on a new prescription diet. And I went through this for about 6 months, and my dog was losing weight, like super skinny. She would break, and every time she would be fine for about a week, week and a half, and then boom, break out in hives. And it's scary to see a dog that looks like a darn Dalmatian,
Yeah.
with just puffed up skin. And my vet kept recommending yak, and then alligator, and then kangaroo meat, and nothing works. None of the prescriptions, none of the thousands of dollars I spent worked. The testing came inconclusive, and I switched to raw after watching Pet Food. Did you ever watch that? It's on
No.
Netflix. I watched that. Someone recommended it. I watched it, and oh my gosh, it changed my whole perspective.
What is it called?
Pet Fooled, FOOLED.
And it's on like dog nutrition.
It's on Netflix. It talks about kibble and how there's no. I mean, the one example I usually give clients is that golden retrievers used to have a lifespan of 18 years back in the 70s, and what came out in the 70s, commercial dog foods, and now their lifespan is what, 10 years.
Yes.
So there's a lot of. I don't want to go over all of it. It's going to ruin people's days that are watching if they're feeding their dog kibble. But the other thing is. Bob, my Cane Corso rescue, or foster fail, I guess you call it, had extreme food aggression. I mean, he got me in the face. You can't see it with my mustache and beard. If you see my arms, they're covered in scars, and he got me pretty darn good. And with kibble, I just wasn't getting anywhere, man. And I talked to, I don't know if you know who Katie Matthews is.
No, I don't think so.
He's a dog trainer out in Florida, and he gave me some advice on switching to raw and just seeing if he's not getting what he needs mentally from his nutrition. And I switched, and sure enough, I mean, I put in a lot of work in too, but it's switching to raw. Now I'm able to drop food in front of him and pick it up and not have to worry about.
And you accredit that to his nutrition? Like he was deficient in something?
Yes. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's still. He's not adoptable ever.
Right.
It's me or the needle, and you know what I mean when I say that, right? He's a seriously hard dog, and he's 140 pounds, right? He's a big boy, and I will say that the switch to raw kept getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And don't get me wrong. We take 13 steps forward, and then all of a sudden it's 9 steps back, and then 14 steps forward, and then 10 steps back, right? So it's a constant battle, but I'll tell you that the raw diet changed Bob, right? Changed.
Interesting.
Him. Yeah. It and I hand fed every piece, right? It hours. I probably spent 45 minutes for breakfast, 45 minutes for dinner every day, just hand feeding each piece, right? Making it work for each piece. And now I can get him to leave his bowl, even though I know that's just a gold pile, him coming to get more gold to go back to his gold pile. But
yeah, I'd like to learn more about that idea, because I think that there probably is a correlation between some behavioral issues and nutrition. It only makes sense.
I'll tell you, Bob used to have hemorrhoids, right? And I don't know what, but the raw food, it just went away, man. I mean, just clear as day. And now I have all 4 of my dogs on a raw diet. They're all solid rocks. Rebel from Luv Pup, he had major issues. I switched him to raw.
I think if like my dogs are sexy as fuck these days. Like their body, my dog has the best body ever, and I've gotten compliments from vets about how good my dog's body looks, like especially Marley. But besides for that, and that's just like I gotta show off my dogs a little. But also, if anybody needs convincing on switching to raw, if you don't like picking up poop and a lot of it, raw is the way to go.
Yes.
Like, there is nothing there. Yeah. My dog's like Marley eats 2 pounds of meat every day.
Yeah.
And this is what he poops.
Yeah. 3% of his body weight?
Yeah, about. I fluctuate on like higher energy, higher activity days and stuff. So during the summer, they sometimes eat a little more because we do more usually. In the winter, when they're generally a little less active, just because we're all less active usually during the winter, then sometimes I'll lower it down. The cool thing about it also that I love is I can control my dog's weight a lot better. So like Marley was getting a little bit too skinny. I just upped it a little bit. I went from 3 to 3.5%, and he gained back that weight that I wanted him to have.
Yeah.
Mama Bear was getting too fat because she's just a fatty. So we, and it's very easy to control that. It's a lot easier than kibble.
And then a question about feeding. Do you fast your dogs once a week like me?
I usually do. Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm not consistent with what day it is.
Me either.
But yeah,
just once a week.
I don't know if that really matters to have a consistent day or not, but I generally do fast them once a week. If we have a very, very active week, I don't. I don't know if that makes sense or not. It's just my feelings on it, because I feel like if they're getting all that energy out, like if we're traveling or if we're camping or something like that, which we don't do much anyways anymore, but if we are, then I'll usually feed them every day of that week. But in general, once a week I fast them, and it clears their body out. It's great for them.
I agree, man. Same page.
I mean, everybody's like intermittent fasting is like the big thing for humans, right? It makes sense for dogs.
My dogs eat better than I eat, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Well, if I had somebody controlling whatever I put in my mouth, you bet I'd be skinnier.
I know, man. How old are you?
I'm 26.
Whew, just wait till you turn 30, bro. You could have a six-pack your whole life. You turn 30 and boom, man.
And it's all over.
Yeah, it's weird, right? It's like now I actually have to watch what I eat, or I just keep on turning into a blueberry, man. It's crazy.
Angela, we'd love to switch to row. There's so much information out there. Angela, I hope to have, I'm going to try to have somebody on the show to actually talk about it. Because I'm not knowledgeable enough to give information on it. I just have my own experience and the little bit of research I've done, but I am very against giving advice on something that I'm not knowledgeable enough in it. So like people see what I feed my dogs and they always send me messages like, can you do some posts on raw feeding? And my response is always no, because it's not that I don't believe in it. It's I don't feel I'm knowledgeable enough to give advice publicly on it. But what would you say is like the hardest thing that you see for owners to change? Because we're talking about owners changing.
I mean, it's them not. I mean, usually people are harder on their children than they are on these opportunistic predators. I mean, I try so many things. I try to explain how close they are to wolves and how wolves get their prey. They just pick and prod for weakness. They find that weakness. They exploit it. Now, our dogs are not hunting anymore, but they're using those skills against you, right? Your dog has more in common with Charles Manson than us, right? Come on, man. It's serious. And to think your dog is now, I think I love my dogs more than anything, right? But I also know that if I let them get away with it, they're gonna take me, right? They are gonna be that abusive boyfriend in a relationship, that abusive girlfriend in a relationship. It's the main thing is the affection, right? I mean, that's the hardest thing, right?
Yeah,
making them earn the affection, right? People thinking it's not fair for the crate comes up a lot. People thinking it's not fair to leave your dog in play stay for hours. But it's, I try to explain it like, do you send your kids to the room? Do you let them play video games? No. Do you let them use their phone? No. And they're sent to their room to think about what they've done, right? It's the same kind of situation, right? It's people just need to, I think Larry Crone said it. If you truly love your dog, don't love your dog too much, right? Make him earn it.
Yeah,
I know it's affection, but I'm sure you see the same thing. It's
the thing is that I think people have this misconception that dogs need affection, and I don't mean that they shouldn't get affection, right? But
no,
they don't need affection.
Affection's a wonderful thing,
right? They don't need affection. Really, if you want to really break it down, it's really just about 3 things a dog ever needs to do in its life. It's eat. Well, 4: eat, sleep, drink, and shit. Like that's it, right? They don't need anything else. And everything past that, and even those things, is all like privileges that should be earned.
Yes.
And even those things that are like the bare necessities can still be used as a privilege for the dog to earn it. right?
Yes.
But if you think about like the affection and the toys and the freedom and all of the other stuff that always gets thrown into the package, as if it's something that people need, that dogs need, I think the average owner generally thinks that the dog actually needs it, you know,
Yep.
because of like society's kind of convinced people that this is what dogs need.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's, even bringing that back to rescue, right? The sob stories that some rescues send out, and I love rescue, right? I helped out three rescues, but the sob stories put these dogs at risk to take advantage of you, right? It's what they need is not a literal kick in the ass, but they need a kick in the butt. Just they need some tough love, right? They need rules, they need structure, they need the boundaries to be successful. We need to leave the past where it is.
Yeah. So when you work with rescues, are you like teaching volunteers? Are you working with these dogs personally? What does that look like?
Ooh, it varies. Some dogs I'm working with them individually before they get rescued. Sometimes it's just like, for instance, I had a dog, Tank, and he was a French Mastiff, beautiful boy, but he had issues, right? So I was just doing an assessment on his behavior. It's not, you don't do an assessment in 30 minutes. It's 3 days, right?
Okay.
And as you know, right? It's like you don't know a dog.
Well, when it comes to rescues, unfortunately, most of their assessments are 10 minutes.
Yes, and that just is not correct, right?
Right.
It takes longer than that. And with Tank, we knew that he needed a little bit more work, so he came and stayed with me for 2 months. I got him situated, just having boundaries and rules, making him earn every ounce of food, every drink of water. I did not pet him, and it's only for one reason, right? He was cute as heck. It's because I don't want him to get attached to me. I want him to get attached to whoever his next owner is.
Right. Which
So
is, I think what you spoke to right there is something that's so powerful that like everyone loves to foster dogs, which is an awesome thing. You're helping a dog, but what are you actually doing with that dog to help it when it's with you?
yes,
You
yes,
know, like
yes,
you have an interesting position because you're a trainer that works. You get paid to train dogs, right? It's your
yep.
profession, but you also work with rescues and fosters as a volunteer thing. So not all of us do that. I mean, currently, I don't work with any rescue or volunteer. I work with
Well, it's
dogs.
very difficult too because there's a huge between rescue and training.
Right. So my question is, what would you offer to, because so many people do foster dogs, what advice would you offer to a foster family that is fostering a dog and really wants to do right for that dog to help it have a good life?
Okay, if it's a foster, right, a dog you're not going to keep, the best thing you could do is not kill it with affection, right? Act like the dog doesn't exist. Give it the structure it needs so that its next home has a chance and doesn't put the dog at a disadvantage because it's missing you, right? Again, it comes right back to affection, right?
Yeah.
If people could just, and fosters, rescues in general, if they could just be hands off a little bit, right? Use the leash to your advantage. It's an extension of your hand, right? Just give the dog structure. Let the next owner give it the love, right? Because the last thing we want is for these dogs to end up back in rescue. It's heartbreaking to see, right? It's set them up for success by not doing this all day to them, right? Just let them be. Let them find trust in you, right? Just by being with you, not necessarily touching it constantly. The last, as you know, with rescues, what ends up happening is they become they're candidates for separation anxiety because whether they had love once or lost love or whatever the situation is, they go into a humane society, for instance. Their life is thrown in a tornado.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going from love to a tornado where there's all these dogs that are messed up?
Yeah. The stress levels through the roof.
Yes, right. They're not getting walked. They're getting crap food. Their rescues are doing, or humane societies are doing all they can, right? It's not like we're made of money, but then they get fostered. This foster gives them love. The dog becomes overly attached to the foster, and then going to the next home. Now it has separation anxiety, right? And you're just, it's a losing battle, right? I mean,
Yeah.
especially for a new owner, you take a dog home thinking it's going to be all rainbows and kisses, and it turns into $30,000 worth of damage, man. It's
Yeah.
and it can all be prevented with just a little bit of hands off, right? If that was the rule, hands off. Just
I once heard Jeff Gelman say, I was at a seminar of his in New York, and there was a couple of rescues there um, and trainers, and it was a seminar for dog owners, but there were trainers and there were rescues who came also. So there was a rescue there that worked very hard on training dogs, and I think that they brought, if I remember correctly, it was a couple years ago, but I think they brought a foster dog to the seminar that they needed help with. Like they trained it like this was an aggressive dog. They did a lot of work at side issues, and so Jeff was talking to the idea of what fosters are supposed to do, kind of like what we're discussing now. And I remember one thing that stood out to me a lot was he said the job of a foster is not to make the dog feel at home. It's to prepare the dog to leave your house better than it came in. And I think imagine if every rescue used that as their rule, you know? Like things would be so different. Like the return rate.
Can you imagine how many more trainers would step up to help out rescues?
Yeah, I know I would.
It's very difficult. I mean, I love Jeff, by the way. That guy is something special, right? And I love that he's willing to put the good, bad, and the ugly up for everybody to see, because people like Jeff, regardless of how you feel about his methods, he's a special being and he's helping more than he's hurting, right?
100%.
It's
big fan.
I love the guy, man. I mean, I've had a couple DMs with him about my joke posts, right? But that's all I got from him.
yeah, he's a good man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that in terms of rescues, like everyone loves to talk about rescuing dogs, right?
Yeah.
And everyone loves to talk about saving dogs. Nobody likes to talk about the dogs that went to the rescue, left, and are now back in that rescue.
Yeah.
And nobody likes to talk about why that's happening and how to stop that.
There are things that could change right now if all breeders and rescues and humane societies all had a unified front that just, hey, you adopt this dog, you are getting a trainer to come day 1, week 2, and week 5, just to make sure you're on the right path, right? Can you imagine if you just knew to give your dog structure, right? 'Cause if it was just a requirement for I think we could do a lot of good. I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard.
I think even more so, it starts one step before that, because rescues run off of volunteers generally, right?
Oh yeah.
And all those volunteers mean well. They're awesome people, right?
Yes.
Generally speaking, like they're giving up their lives for the most part, their free time to go walk and take care and feed and bathe these dogs. I think if they implemented like 3 or 4 basic things with their interaction. So let's think about it. The average rescue dog, whether it's in a shelter, so I'm not talking about fosters because that's different than this, but when they're in like a rescue building or a shelter building, right? They live in their kennel most of the day. They get a walk when they come out of that kennel, where it's usually they're so stressed and anxiety and excited where they're just choking themselves under that leash, right? And they rush out. Then they rush back in. Then they're given food that they slurp down, and they drink that food down, and everything is all over. And if all these rescue volunteers were taught simple things like to slow the dog down through that process, right?
Yes.
Stop him before he leaves. When he comes back inside, stop him before he comes back inside, right? Do not let him pull on the leash. I mean, it's simple things that anyone can learn how to do. It's not magic. And especially
it's just like you were talking about with your female that was a struggle, right?
Yeah.
Leaving the crate correctly.
Yep.
Like, self-control, get that eye contact really quick. It's like, don't have volunteers just going to pet the dog. Give the volunteers their food and make them work for it. Ugh.
Right. And there's small things that really can be changed and would change these dogs' lives, and the return rate would completely change in general. The return rate would change. And it's unfortunate because none of them are listening to this and none of them are going to do that. But
I am sure Luv Pup, a couple people are listening to it, right?
Okay, cool. I think it's cool that you're actually doing that work though. Like I commend that a lot. I think it's really awesome. And I don't know Luv Pup, but you guys are cool that the fact that you allow a
Well,
trainer to step in.
here's the thing about Luv Pup, man, and this is my favorite thing. You hear that slogan, adopt, don't shop. You hear that all the time, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of rescues charge for the adoption fee, which
Mhm.
I understand. But the one thing that I truly love about Luv Pup is they take the time to find the right owners and they don't charge them, right? The dog is free for the right owner, right? There are certain dogs that they
Yeah.
require training day one, right? But for the most part, it truly is an adopt don't shop kind of situation, right? Now,
That's very. How do they stay afloat?
we're blessed. We are associated with the John Jay and Rich show, right? So John Jay, he's one of the biggest radio people out there.
Mhm.
He's huge in Arizona, and he probably a lot of what's going on for Luv Pup has to do with him and his wife Blake. But yeah, we're blessed. We're opening up a facility here in a couple months, so hopefully this COVID crap.
Yeah. It will go soon. It's gonna go soon. All right, cool. I have a question for you that I like to ask everyone who's on the show. So you've listened to the show before, so you probably know my question.
What's up?
Do you know it?
I do not. I always want
No,
to.
okay. I was
But
testing.
I
I was
love the
testing
people
how well
you
you
have
listen.
on.
I
Can
was
I just say, there's one person that you had on. Now, everyone loves Larry, right? Everyone loves Chad, right? But that girl, Whitney, I love
She's
her
awesome.
stuff. Her stuff is special, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whitney from Stages Way Dog Training. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love her information.
Yeah. Do you follow her page?
Yes, I do. I found her on TikTok, and I love her no nonsense.
I'm like one of the few and proud. I could say I knew Whitney before she was famous on TikTok.
Yeah, she's pretty special. But Sean O'Shea, dude, you got some good people on here, man.
We
Right.
got John Gata from Gata Train.
Whoop.
So if there was one thing, and I'm pretty sure after talking to you for an hour, I know what your answer is going to be, but if there was one thing that you wish every dog owner knew, like right now, it's out there, every dog owner is listening, what would it be?
Okay. Quick and simple. Well, can it be two things?
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 things. So it's going to start off like this. How much time do you spend watching TV or spending on your cell phone per day? Right. I would guess that the normal person that's maybe not super busy spends 4 to 6 hours on their phone and on TV a day. Okay. Now, if you could do one thing, it would be put your dog in place, stay during that time. Just do it. Watch the changes that occur if you do that one thing. Just watch. Bet me. Good
Yeah.
things will happen. And the second thing, I know you're going to give your dog affection, but make him earn it. I don't care if he's in play stay for 4 hours or you're just having him come to you and then your spouse hides in a different room. You say come and it's exciting and pet and love every time, but make him work for it. That would be.
So I think it's important to clarify this because we've been saying this a lot throughout the thing. What does it mean to make a dog earn affection?
So it's a situation. So for instance, I'm going to give you an example. Bummer, my puppy. So affection for Bummer would look like a 5-minute training session. And then he would get affection throughout it, right? So maybe it's a pet, but if he started slipping up, because you'll notice that some dogs you give affection and you lose them, right?
Yep.
Or sometimes it would be at the end of the training session as the bonus of being done, right? And what ended up happening is I would be out at a park with him, and he would be, 400 yards away, and there's a dog or whatever, other people, and he seems interested. And I say heel, and he comes on a dead sprint because he knows when he gets to me, he's getting affection out in public, right? So it's a situation, earned affection. You're for a walk. Someone's like, oh, your dog's so cute. And you back up. Come. He comes to you. You reward with all the affection in the world. It's a situation where maybe you're playing hide and go seek with your dog. So you and your spouse are taking turns hiding in that house and saying, Rover, come. And then they come. And then it turns into a 5-minute love fest, right? And then when your spouse calls the name, boom, come. You stop. You ignore the dog. He goes and finds your spouse or your kid or whatever. Maybe he's in play stay and you just go sit with him for 20 minutes
Yeah.
in place today, right? Uh, just the whole thing is maybe you're just looking for eye contact. Look, he looks at you, you're petting, and then you stop when he looks away. And then he looks again and you start petting again, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it can be simple. You can go play the go find it game, right? Make your dog use his nose. They find it and it's like a huge celebration when they find it. It's just make them earn it. And if you're not going to make them earn it, right, then don't give affection throughout the day and just let them sleep in bed with you, right? That's enough.
Yeah.
Like I know that sounds hard, but that's what I would do, right?
So this is a challenge that I would just bet that nobody's going to actually take me up on. But if anyone wants, I'll do it with you. 24 hours of not touching your dog, besides obviously putting their collars on them, things like that, you know? And the point isn't to be like, now I'm being mean to my dog. The point is to see what you can do without that.
Yes.
What?
It's almost like an addiction, bro.
Yeah, but not for the dog, for you. Like, yeah, the dog can also, I think there's like a codependency that goes on with a lot of, you bring addiction into it. With a lot of dogs and a lot of owners, it's complete codependency. I mean, that's separation anxiety. That is exactly what separation anxiety is, right?
And bro.
Dogs don't naturally have anxiety.
No, think about it. You come home and you make that the most exciting point in the day. How fair is that to your dog? You have a life, you have work, you have all these things to do, and then you're gone, and then you come home and it's the most exciting time. How is that fair? I mean, your dog is just anticipating your return. Like it feels good, but it doesn't feel good for the dog, right? I
think also, like, when it comes to separation anxiety and this whole codependency thing that you brought into it, I think that we make dogs who don't really need to rely on us to the extent that we make them. We make them need us so much, right? And then we leave, right? Because at the end of the day, we still have things to do besides our dog. So we make them need us because we never separate them from us. We never teach them to be independent by putting them somewhere else, right? Like, you stay over there, I'm going to be over here. If I'm here, my dog's in my lap, my dog's next to me, my dog's getting pet, I'm sitting on it, I'm laying on it, we're doing everything together. And then I go to work, and all of a sudden, like, the dog's drug of choice left, right?
Yeah.
And of course he's going to go crazy. Of course he's going to go into that messed up state.
Was it Sean O'Shea that said, if you don't give your job something to do, it's going to find something to do? Or if you don't give your dog a job, it's going to find a job for itself?
It might be. I wrote something similar to that recently, so I hope that it was me.
Maybe it was you. I don't know.
I said that if you don't give your dog rules, and basically, I don't remember the exact way that I wrote it, but if you don't set rules in your house, your dog is going to set rules in the house, and you're not going to, right? And in general, if you don't, same idea, and I say this to everyone, and like I'm sure in one of my daily training thought thingies that I put up, I probably said this at some point, that if you don't tell your dog what to do, it's going to figure out what to do on its own. The thing is that when dogs figure out what to do on their own, it's never in a way that humans like. Never. Like, you're never going to find a dog that just like, you know what? I really just love to walk nicely, and I really just love to relax. It's like, no, you let them figure it out on their own, and that's when they eat your shoes.
Okay, so I just want to touch on this, right? You just want to relax, right? And it's about getting our dogs into a relaxed mindset, right? Like, I don't know. If we could get them in a relaxed mindset before the walk, you're going to have a better time on the walk. If you're going to get them in a relaxed mindset before a training session, now it's good to train in an excited state too, but get control. Teach your dog how to relax. Teach them how to relax.
Like, I think training your dog in a calm state is more important than in an excited state. And I know there are trainers out there who are not going to like that, and training should always be fun, and it should always be exciting. I don't agree, because dogs come to me. You know, dogs come to me because of the excitement. And their owners don't need a dog that's more hyped up every time that you say place, or sitting there waiting to get off a place. And they don't need a dog that's extremely hyped up when you say heel. That looks really awesome in videos, and it's great. And I'm all for it if someone's into like competition, sport work, and things like that, do that. But when it comes to the average family pet that's struggling because their dog can never relax and a walk sucks because the dog is always excited, like they don't need a heel that looks like this and the dog is prancing and all excited. They need a walk that's nice and calm, right? And
Yes.
they don't need place where the dog is anticipating to jump off because they get the toy. They need
Well,
place where it's like you go and you do nothing. Just go chill.
on a side note to that play stay with those lifted beds is they could tear something real bad if they're going too fast onto those
Yeah.
beds.
Yeah. And obviously there's a place for both of them. Like I want
Yes.
recall to be exciting, right? When I'm out in the field, I don't want a dog to take its time and slowly, calmly walk over to me like, get your ass over here, right? Let's go quick. But say on the other end of it, if I'm in a house, I don't want my dog barreling through the house when I call him, right? And I think that's important for people to understand that like the fancy stuff looks nice, but think about what's realistic on a day-to-day basis for the average dog owner.
Okay, so I have a question. If a client, and clients never ask, but I wish they did, right? If a client came to you and asked what breed of dog they should get, what would you recommend to the majority of people? 2 or 3 breeds.
It's a good question, but I think that it really depends on the client. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're a single dude who goes hiking every day, get yourself a high energy dog. If you're a mom with 3 kids, which is generally what my clientele is moms or families, like get yourself honestly a golden doodle.
Really?
Like even though everybody shits on them, like I never thought I would say this, but I have worked with so many golden doodles that as soon as you give them some good structure, they become
Yeah.
amazing family dogs.
Yeah.
Like generally, every single dog across the board, what I'm going to say, needs structure. Don't get yourself a Malinois. Just don't.
Okay.
You know?
So going off this now, other than military dogs like Malinois and Dutch Shepherds and German Shepherds, what dogs would you recommend to a beginner family for not to get?
Oh, not to get?
Yes, and not the Malinois,
Yeah.
not the Dutch Shepherd, just
Right.
like potentially like a Catahoula. A beginning owner should never have a Catahoula.
Don't get a husky.
Yes, yes.
It's the first one that comes to my mind, and I know that there are husky people who probably are going to watch this because you guys do. But you guys are great. Like you're different. I know who you are. But like you asking for the average first-time owner, don't get a husky, even though they're beautiful and they're in movies. Don't get them.
Yes.
Okay, they just don't belong in your small apartment. And don't. Let's see what else.
Mastiffs.
Yeah, Mastiff. I think any power breed.
Yeah.
So any power breed, just knock it off the table. Get yourself a dog that's meant for a family. Get yourself something that's gonna work. Honestly, I said it, golden doodles. I never thought I would say this, but I really do think that they're, unless you get one of these completely genetically messed up ones, which they exist.
Yeah,
but
bad breeding is all over the place. Yeah.
if you get like, there are some great golden doodle breeders on the East Coast over here, and like, if you get one of those and they're genetically, they're like, I have one with me right now. He's boarding with me. He's been with me like part of my crew for a long time since he's very young. He trained with me and he comes back for boarding all the time. And he's awesome bred. Like his genetics are awesome. His personality is awesome. As soon as he had structure in his life, he's an awesome dog. Like, and most of the doodles that I've worked with generally are like that. So I think for families, they're great dogs. Will you ever see me owning one? Hell no. But that's just for me personally. I'm not into it. I also very biased and love golden retrievers for the same reason. They're
What about
also
the hair?
Yeah, the hair is tough.
Woo. You know, I love Labradors, man, but I can't stand the hair. Like it's like on your face, and I love the dog, right? I grew up with Labradors, but and I'll tell you, those Cane Corsos, bro, I've never seen so much hair in my life.
I have a golden dude, and then I have another one who's staying with me for 10 weeks for the entire summer. He's staying with me.
Oof.
And that's 2 goldens in one not big house. And it's a lot of hair, but I love them. I used to, honestly, before I had my golden, I said I would never own one because I was like, it's too stereotypical. It's like a white picket garage and like.
So one day you're gonna get a Catahoula. Trust
me. Yeah, you told me that.
Ooh, I'll tell. They're different, man. They're different. I just personality. They're just different.
What do you love so much about them?
Oh, I mean, they can do it all, man. They can do it. Like I've taken 1-2 herding. Like I can set up bricks and hide stuff, and she'll find it. Like she can climb trees. Like she's special. Bummer's special too, and so is Rebel and Bob. But
you're making them all feel bad. They're like, I'm also special, Dad.
But I'm just gonna say that there's something. I've had Rottweilers, I've had Labs, I've had Goldens, I've had Australian Shepherds, and just once I got one Catahoula, I just don't know if I ever get a breeding dog again. It'll be another Catahoula. Maybe a Beagle. I love those little Beagles, but Catahoulas. One day I'm just gonna gift one to you, and you're just gonna be like,
gift one to me. You better warn me. You better warn me.
I'll be like, 8 years from now, you ready?
But it has to be puppy.
Yeah, of course. Like I would not recommend look, I love Catahoulas, but I would not recommend a rescue Catahoula.
Yeah.
That would be
like adopt don't shop goes out the window for me when it comes to a dog like that. I need it like pure breed, good one from the
you
good
need like
breeder.
a Tasso Catahoula or a Sasquatch Catahoula, right?
All right, I'll send you my address. You can get it shipped to me.
Yeah. 8 years, right? You still have like 8 years before you're ready for a new pup.
8 years? Yeah, I don't want another dog for a while. Like,
all my dogs are under 4. Woo.
Yeah, 3 is too much.
Yeah.
But
well, I got 4. It's crazy.
I don't recommend it to anybody.
No,
it's one dog.
There goes my social life, right? Like,
yeah, it's so much. Like these, I love them, but like, come on, it's a job having.
Oh man, yeah. It's a like as much as you love your dogs, it's a burden at times, right? Like it's
sure.
It's not always fun. Like it's not fun sometimes to have to be strict with your dogs. But I know if I give one to this much room, she's gonna.
Yep, that's the way it goes. The pushy ones, but the other side of it is a minute ago you said you get to do the most with her also.
Oh yeah, she's capable. Like, dude, I can tell her up against. I tell her to spin so I can check her up against the wall. I pat her down, and then I'm like, she's got a gun, and then she comes jumping at me on 2 feet, and I'm like, bang, bang, and then she plays dead.
She has a whole ring of tricks. She's a circus dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, she's not like amazing, but just she's cute. She's cute.
All right, man.
Let's
wrap it up. It's been a little more than an hour, so we're gonna wrap it up. That was a lot of fun. For anyone who wants to find out more about you, work with you, get in touch with you, follow you, tell everyone where they can find you.
At gottatrain.com or gottatrain on Instagram
and TikTok.
Just DM me. Oh, and TikTok, yeah, if you want. I don't really check the emails or the DMs though, because I get like so many, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's impossible to stay up on.
But your TikTok is definitely worth following for anybody who wants like good, fun content that's quick and easy to digest. Like it's definitely worth following. So guys, check John out on TikTok and everywhere else where he is. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you all have an awesome night. I appreciate you all. I love you all. And stay kind.
All right, Russ. Bye-bye.